Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar presented to you by the SAP Customer Experience Group. This is the second webinar in the current series about upgrading to SAP BusinessObjects BI Platform 4.1. My name is Adrian Paul from the SAP Customer Experience Group, and today's webinar is entitled BI 4.1 Upgrade and Update Best Practices, and will be presented to you by my SAP colleague Satish Rajagopal. Could you go to the second slide, please, Satish? Thank you. The list of all the webinars in this series has been published already in SCN, and you may have seen this page already if you personally registered for this webinar. The page contains the planned webinar calendar and webinar registration links. And this webinar is being recorded, and the recording will also be posted on this SCN page in a few days' time. I'll also share this SCN page URL in the chat window later. Now, without further delay, I would like to introduce you to Satish Rajagopal, who will begin the main webinar presentation. So, over to you, Satish.
Thank you, Adrian. I hope all of you can hear me okay. If not, please let us know. Good morning for those joining from Americas, North and Latin America, and good afternoon and good evening, in fact, to those joining from EMEA and APJ. Today, for about the next 40-45 minutes, I would like to share with you some of the best practices, lessons learned, and guidelines, the recommendations from SAP around upgrading to BI 4.1. Before going there, briefly about myself, like why am I the speaker on this topic. I'm from the solution management team. I've been with SAP for about 9 years now. I came from business objects background, and the last couple of years I've been leading the global upgrade initiatives in solution management. So when we released BI 4.0 about 3 years ago, and we had a team that I was part of called Tiger Team, and we were supporting the global escalations, including all those migrations, customers coming from 3.1 to 4.0. So a lot of material, that information that you're going to see today are from those engagements, over the years that we have gathered, our team have gathered, and examples that I'm going to give you are mostly from those customer situations. So feel free to, let me know if you have any questions and if you'd like to hear more about any of these topics. Okay, with that, today's agenda pretty much, I've categorized them into 3 major sections. One would be why to upgrade. I briefly, not many slides, but few slides, I'll be talking about the evolution of BI, how the market requirements and the technology changes, keeping you busy with product design and solution design, and what is there for you, a customer, in terms of value proposition. Why should you upgrade to 4.1? What are the top reasons you should know coming to 4.1, the benefits? And then getting ready to upgrade, how you can plan, and what are the things that you should know prior to your planning your migration upgrade project. And then finally, the important challenges, lessons learned of those engagements that I mentioned about in the beginning, all those things, captured into up to 4 customer examples. You can as a customer success story segment, where I'm going to talk about 4 of our customers. But before going there, just to make sure, I just talk to the messaging is right and we talk about the right thing. I would like to do a quick poll. I have 3 questions basically, and if you can quickly answer these questions, that would be fantastic. Okay. The first question is your current version of BusinessObjects BI. Steve, I would really appreciate if you can respond to the poll. Okay, we have 10 more seconds before I jump on to the next question. Thank you. Appreciate that. The next question would be, when are you planning to upgrade? Basically, if you have a plan already in place, or next 6 months or 1 year, whatever, that would be the next question. You have 45 seconds to respond. Okay, again, Rajiv, Steve, Satish, Heather, if you can respond to the poll, that would be great. I would appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next one. In your opinion, in your deployment, what are the top reasons, the challenges, or you can call them as issues, that prevents you to come to 4.1? Okay? I'm going to leave this one. There you go. Why you are not planning to, or you have challenges? What are the reasons for you to think the migration upgrade is challenging one? Susan, I got you. We know why you are not getting the submit button, but we have other way to capture the results, so no worries there. Thank you, Susan. Okay, 10 more seconds. Okay. There we go. Thank you so much. So I can quickly look at the poll result, and almost like 2/3 of you, around 60% of you are on 3.x. Okay, that makes sense. So now let's look at the evolution of BI, the BI trend in BI, how the requirements are changing, and which are the basic drivers for us from the product side, solution side, how we enhance the product, how we change the roadmap, and things like that. So that will give you kind of an idea why we are pushing, why we are asking you to come to 4.1 clearly. So number one, the 4 drivers that we see, the market conditions and customer expectations are changing. I mean, pretty much every week. As you can see, the business across the globe, different regulations, different requirements are changing, so it's highly volatile, right? The globalization puts a lot of pressure on the companies to change the business model, to do a lot of compliance-based BI solutions and things like that. And then at the same time, the customers are increasingly cost conscious. We know that because the IT budget every year is becoming, challenging for executives to allocate funding. And then the next one is the social media, new generation of the social media, and things like Facebook and Twitter and other social media are increasingly playing a role in shaping up your BI strategy. So now, knowing all these challenges brings us to the reality. If you look at the reality today, because of the social media, because of the changing business, globalized business model, a trend, you see these numbers like significant. 1 billion Facebook users, pretty much 4 billion YouTube views per day, right? That's supposed to be like 6 months old, but you should see definitely an increase in that number. So what these numbers tells us, right? It's the fact. This is how business is happening today. Now, whether your BI platform is capable enough to support to take care of all this business scenarios. Now, when I saw this report, I was like, oh my God, only 33% right now in 2013. Again, we are waiting for 2014 number, but 2013, 33% of the BI users consume their BI content in handheld devices, right? At the same time, the 80% of the BI information needs, that's a significant shift. Traditionally, you gather the requirements, business analyst will document the requirements, you create BRAD and other documents, you create the content and then give it to the end users. But that is changing with all the data discovery, visualization playing a key role, like predictive. 80% of the information, handled by the end users. There is a less dependency on the IT side. And then the third important thing is if you spend $1, that you pretty much can expect close to $11 in return. That's another significant expectation among the customers. So what are we doing to support this, right? When we look at those three facts, the market trend, and try to shape up our analytic strategy, then comes the surprise. Right now, today, when you look at your user base in a typical company, small or medium or large scale users, company user base, only 10% use analytics, right? At the same time, if you look at the forecast, if you look at by 2020, that's going to go up by 75%, right? Going from like 1,000 users, for example, to 7,500 users in about 5.5 years is going to be significant. Now, what you can do, right? This is a big data scenario that you've been caring about a lot these days. Now, do you see it as a challenge or opportunity, right? That's exactly what drives us when we talk about our analytic solutions, the strategy, right? Our 4 pillars of our strategy, from cloud, mobile, the big data ready solution, and collaboration. And I can tell you that from SAP, we are the only vendor in the market today that can do all this engaging, visualizing, and predicting requirements, take care of predictive requirements from the end users. Like we have the fully governed data visualization strategy with a solid platform and a powerful engine called HANA behind the scene. Now, to summarize the top reason, the value drivers to come to 4.1, as you can see, like this is like the picture on the wall, like you can see what are the good things, what are the top key benefits that you get when you come to 4.1. Okay. Now you saw the benefits, the key drivers and top reasons to come to 4.1. Now how do we do it? Right? How you can plan so that your project is not only successful but also meaningful, right, in many ways. The first thing is for you to know, important thing, when we did the initial escalations in 2012, early 2012, late 2012, pretty much, the important thing, the very basic thing for customers to know is BA 4.1 is a 64-bit application, right? Whereas 3.1, the earlier releases of 32-bit architecture. Obviously, because it is 4.1 is a 64-bit architecture, it's going to require some modern hardware and memory to run the application. Okay, that's a very important thing for you to note. And second thing is, it's architecturally different from XI platform. So there are a lot of new components, now a lot of new applications. A lot of these application services have its own connectivity stack. And also, we have changed our semantic layer strategy, what we call it as a common semantic layer strategy. And you have dedicated services for data connectivity The main reason behind that change is to improve the performance, especially if you have reports on top of BW, sources like BW and ERP. The other important thing that I've seen in many situations is like, because it's a larger footprint, it has new components, new services, don't expect this to run in the same hardware as 3.1. And I've seen customers, which I will talk about in the sizing section of the presentation, but some customers initially, they just took 3.1 sizing estimate, sizing the deployment blueprint, and then they try to copy that into 4.1. You should not do that. You can't do that because 3.1, for example, is 32-bit, whereas 4.1 is 64-bit. Right, and then 4.1 has inbuilt.
Satish, could you, a couple of requests that your voice is a bit weak. I don't know if you can get closer to the audio or something. But if there's anything can be done to improve the audio, thank you.
No problem, Arian. Is that better?
Better for me.
Okay. Okay, I'll try to raise up my voice. So 4.1 has a lot of new components out of the box. For example, you have analysis, monitoring, and native Dex connectivity, and all this are aimed out to help customers to improve the productivity, to improve the the efficiency in maintaining, administering the BI 4.1 platform. And the next thing is like how do you migrate or upgrade, right? These are typically the upgrade path and process that is out there today. And then in coming to the 4.1, suppose if you are in XI release 1 or Crystal, the classic Crystal 8, 9, 10, or if you are in classic BOJ 5 or 6, you have to first come to R2 or 3.1, right? From 3.1 on R2, you can directly come to 4.1 platform. But if you are a customer who are on 4.0, it's called update. You just have to simply update your 4.1 environment, just like how you will do it, a support pack update to 4.1. Again, I'm not trying to simplify the process or importance of coming from 4.0 to 4.1, but one simple example that you can relate is normally how you would apply an SP from on top of 4.0 or 4.1. Okay, there are two important things at a high level that when you play to 4.1. Suppose if you're coming from 3.1, the first thing is you set up your new landscape with a new software version. That would be BI 4.1, let's say SP04. And then second step would be move the content from your source environment into the target environment using UMT. Okay, that's pretty much at a high level how you can upgrade and come to 4.1. Now, moving on to the other important aspect of planning your upgrade, you have to decide all these three, important thing along with, saying the first three would be pretty much you have to see like technical or functional, right? Whether you're going to upgrade your existing application as is to the new platform, and then create your new application, new projects in BI 4.0 or 4.1, right? And then identify the target. It's very important in all those escalations and the migration project that I worked on. The important thing is to understand and identify a key candidate project for your upgrade, right? You have to build a partnership. You have to identify building a high visible line of business or a project for your upgrade, and then identify a new business need. For example, taking dashboards into mobile devices could be one solid business case that you can get from, let's say, sales division of your company, right? Try to identify a very good target. And then the third one in planning, very important one, is check your upgrade path, right? Check all the elements of your BI application can be upgraded. If cannot be upgraded, why? You have to clearly document. You have to clearly document and explain the gaps to your stakeholders so that you can set the real expectation, right, among your stakeholders. And then stay focused, right? I can't stress enough the importance of, staying focused irrespective of the challenges, the issues that you may have. You have to be fully stay focused and stick to the timeline to complete the project on time and quality. The usual recommendation that I usually make is, excuse me. Sorry about that. Is try to identify, if you have, let's say, 10 projects, you try to identify your top priority projects and try to work one by one, and never try to, introduce your upgrade once you complete your set of projects and then introduce the environment for end users. That'll create a lot of unexpected challenges for you to support the upgrade as well as support the environment. And then go in iterative mode, right? Go in smaller iterations, go incremental, and try to migrate project by project. And then the next important one is a lot of initial escalations that we have learned. A lot of our customers thought that, I worked in business objects for so many years, then, I should very well be able to, support the BI 4.1. No, please try to, understand that there are significant improvements, enhancements, new functionalities, features in 4.1. So try to upskill your business objects expertise. These are some of the, highlights of the new concepts that you will see in 4.1, from administration to operations related to BI applications, right? There are significant new things in BI 4.1. So have enough time and budget to train your administrators and your core team to learn the BI 4.1 platform and the product and solutions. This is a very important one that you should have in your planning. Okay, now we saw the planning. Now you're getting ready to do your migration. Now, what are the things normally the technical consideration that you should know, you should plan, you should be aware of before you perform your migration? The first thing is you should know your SAP roadmap strategy, right? If you are on 3.1, for example, you should particularly know the end of life, end of support for 3.1. So when you do the planning for your upgrade, you should let your stakeholder know that, okay, we have so much time to complete your upgrade project, right? I provided all the links in the bottom. You can go through and understand why the timing is very important and why you have to plan the roadmap, SAP roadmap and strategy into consideration, right? The next one is, sizing. I've done this webinar more than 20 times across the globe. And one important thing that keeps coming up in the webinar is the importance of sizing, right? In the initial escalation, the customer situation that I supported, it was usually undersized, right? When customer think that their 3.1, for example, 3.1 environment is, brilliantly sized and everything works fine, they simply try to just, take that as a guideline and try to configure their BI4 environment. You should not do that. the sizing estimator, which is now available public for everyone, it's free, is updated based on the changes in the architecture and in the product in 4.0 and 4.1. So try to, run the sizing, but try to engage SAP consulting services and to do a full-scale, sizing exercise. Because a lot of time, the importance of sizing is overlooked or misunderstood. In a lot of situations, you have to. Sizing is not just running the tool per se, right? It's more than that. The tool will give you an estimation, but then eventually you have to take that as a guideline and then try to analyze it, try to expand it, try to review and make sure you size the environment carefully so that it will support your requirements and also support the changes in the product. Okay. The new one again, which was brought up in the initial 4.0 release, was like, why did we introduce APS? And maintaining APS and configuring APS is not easy. It's not fun. So we take it as a serious, feedback from our customers, and we now have a lot of documents, including the one that I've mentioned in the slide here, put together by one of our support colleagues. He talks about the best practices around configuring APS. Because by default, out of the box, the APS will have single instance, but you can split your APS into many instances based on your requirement. So if you're an admin, if you're an architect, if you configure your APS, optimally, half of your configuration is done, pretty much, because APS is a container that hosts multiple services in it, and you have to configure it very carefully in order for you to take full advantage of the 4.1 platform. Again, it's worth reading. Go to that white paper, and you will know what I'm talking about. And then if you, whenever I go to a customer who are on 3.1 or 2, I'm sure that's true to you as well, because in the poll, I see more than 40% of you, as mentioned, you have desktop intelligence as one of the reasons why you are not, upgrading to 4.1. So kind of to address the gap, we provided a desktop compatibility pack, right, which will help you access, bring your Deski documents to 4.1 repository. And then from your 3.1 client, you can access your 4.1, the Deski documents which reside in 4.1. But at the same time, make sure you note this point that Deski is not coming back, right? It's an old technology and does not fit into our future roadmap or that all the technology that we use, that we design our product. So that's the main reason why we discontinued desktop intelligence. So you have time until 2015 and then priority 1 support until 2017 to use desktop compatibility pack to consume your desktop intelligence documents. Now, how does it work? Basically, you have Deski. You have to be on SP06 minimum. And then you have your desktop compatibility pack. And that pack was delivered with FP 6.1. You bring all the Deski documents to 4.1 and you migrate. And then from your 3.1 client, you can consume your desktop intelligence pack while you address the gaps, while you address all the concerns of the users, before you can convince them fully to come to web intelligence. So obviously, the end road is you have to convert all your desktop intelligence documents to web intelligence. Okay. Now, let me briefly talk about the importance of security, the changes between your R2 and 4.1 as well as between 3.1 to 4.1. If you are on R2, which I believe some of you, based on the poll results, the security model has completely changed between R2 and 4.1. Okay. So you have to completely redesign your security model. There are significant improvements, enhancements in 4.1, and I've highlighted some of them in terms of the products, in terms of the customer access level, what you have to do. Pretty much 4.1 will help you simplify your security model with things like customer access level and things like that. So whereas if you are on 3.1, there's not much difference between 3.1 and 4.1 security model, right? You just have to do a couple of things like specifying the rights for new products, and again going to simplify your security model in the CMC tab level security for your delegated administration, which is significant new functionality in the BI4 platform. Now, this is where, if you look at the top 5 reasons why customers can go wrong, security is one of them. It's a highly, debated topic. It's not easy to deal with security, discussion. So, just make sure you understand this. You try to evaluate and review the new enhancements in 4.1, and then try to compare that with your R2 security model or 3.1 security model, and then document the changes and try to plan carefully on moving the objects, and then try to redefine your security in 4.1. Okay, what are the common challenges? I talked about the good things in coming to 4.1. I talked about what are the considerations that you should do before planning your migration, but I still get all these questions. Whenever I go talk to a customer or do webinar like this, like, yeah, this is great, everything is fine. 4.1 is a better platform, better product, better release, but then I have my own challenges. Some of them I've highlighted here. Right? Some of them, for example, the quality, stability issue, upgrade is very usually time-consuming and expensive. We've heard that. We've heard all these challenges, and we are actively working on to address these challenges. For example, we are working on a couple of tools to help you with your migration upgrade, and we are working on a couple of processes to simplify converting your license, converting your maintenance model to come to 4.1 without having to go through too much hassle. So there are a lot of initiatives going on, and there are a lot of good information out there already for you to plan your 4.1 upgrade. So let me briefly talk about actual customer success stories, the lessons learned, and the initial escalation and migration that we supported starting 2012. So the first one that I would like to mention is the large CPG customer in North America. And I have highlighted a few things here. For example, the data source being SAP BW. They are like 80% BW data source BI deployment. And then the upgrade was primarily executed by their Center of Excellence team. And they had key benefits that they want to take advantage, leverage from BI 4.0. Now, their key driver, if you look at the key driver, why, the technical and as well as the business driver, they want to take advantage of the mobility enhancements in BI4. And they have a huge Explorer footprint on top of BWA, and they would like to also embed that with exploration views. And then they like the overall performance improvements in BI4. Now, in terms of technical, when I spoke to the technical people, those will be maintaining the platform, doing the migration, from their point of view, the auditing and usage, right, is improved in 4.0. And the built-in monitoring, they liked it, though it's not, full-blown monitoring solution, but they still liked the way we have introduced in the monitoring capabilities. And then, of course, the direct BICS access from the connectivity to BW from the clients. In terms of the upgrade strategy used, they upgraded it as it is from the source system into 4.1, and they've decided to do the new projects. For example, the mobile, bringing the dashboards on mobile. They will do the upgrade and then create all the new dashboard applications projects in BI4 once they upgrade their environment to BI4. The pros and cons using following that strategy is, you can manage the risk effectively, and pretty much you can maintain with a near, downtime, zero downtime. At the same time, you'll be maintaining two environments. Basically, you'll be doing a parallel environment, which is effectively expensive, to put together. But at the same time, it will help you to manage the timeline, to manage the downtime, and things like that. And then users, time, they won't notice, but they have to switch between one system to other system. Again, I've some of the lessons learned. I'm sure you will go through that, but the one thing that worth mentioning is the working around the product issues and proactively aware of the product changes. So that's one of the areas that I'm working on in our team, basically to let you, customers, know the changes proactively documented and then help you with workaround before you get the actual functionality in 4.1. That's what we did with this customer for them to be successful with their upgrade. The second one is the international pharmaceutical company based out of EMEA, and one of the largest that I ever worked with, close to 6,000 users, 2,500 universes, and close to 50,000 just web intelligence reports of other reports and dashboards, and they upgraded from 3.1 to 4.0. And as you can see, they have close to 120 projects, and their main concern was they were not interested to talk about downtime at all. Pretty much they wanted to bring down the system just over the weekend. As you can see there, it's a mission critical deployment, and they wanted to reduce the downtime to a weekend to do the upgrade. And again, there is no parallel running versions for the projects because they were talking about the cost that they have to spend to maintain the parallel versions. And then the one good thing was like the project owners, they have to choose which upgrade they were in, right? They list all the projects based on the business importance, based on the priority. They kind of decided which project will go in wave 1 versus wave 2, and so on. The upgrade strategy, because it's a massive deployment, they wanted to do a sandbox testing. Pretty much everything that they will do, they wanted to run it in the sandbox, and then the security, they did a base security setup before migration, and then expand the security model after the upgrade, and then incremental approach, and then importantly running the repo scan because it's a massive size in terms of the FRS and CMS. We strongly recommend it for them to run the repo scan. Again, irrespective of the size of the deployment, I would strongly encourage you run the repo scan, which will give you a lot of clue about what's going on with your upgrade. Again, lessons learned. You can go through. There are a lot of good things that we have learned in this massive upgrade that we supported. Then the third one, again, it's a different CPG business line, but it's a quite interesting project because of the business challenges that they were going through. They were doing the BW upgrade at the same time, and they had many legacy systems and related issues. And then they were very particular about cost. They were keep mentioning in every meeting, they were talking about the cost, and they didn't want to spend. And they would keep talking about the return on investment, in every dollar, every time they spend on the upgrade. So they spend about 6 months in planning, solid planning, right? Which I normally recommend. Like when you carefully plan, when you properly plan your upgrade, half of your risk will be gone. You'll be successful right there when you plan things carefully. And then they were particular about, as I mentioned, estimating the cost against what do I get. When I spend so much in upgrade in coming to the latest release, what will be the return on investment? And then tool selection, right? They were trying to shift the strategy around how the tools are used. Again, keeping the new innovations and new investments on these tools, what will be the return? And lessons learned, again, the one important thing that I would like to mention is the hidden cost. They will keep asking about it. They were very particular about documenting what are hidden costs. Do I have to, okay, I'm planning for 5 consultants, then do I have to plan for another 2 consultants if in case if I have more challenges, right? For things like that, they were very particular about understanding the process, understanding the cost associated with it, and they were very, very successful, very happy at the end, but it took a lot of planning and discussion and review for them to even before start the first wave of their migration. The last one, credit card companies in the world, based out of North America, they had huge repository in terms of the FRS and CMS because of the size, because of the number of reports, for example, they had to produce for compliance reasons. And the main drivers for them to come to latest release was the mobility, the architecture enhancements. They wanted to centralize the platform support, platform administration in one place, one cost center, and through one application. So they were very eager to come to the latest release of BI4, and then of course leveraging the latest innovation solutions. The upgrade strategy used, it was a 4-step process. The first thing that we recommended, because of the shift in the business model, because of this increase in the user base, we recommended them, we performed a detailed sizing exercise, and then try to tweak their 4x blueprint. They already estimated the number of servers and the architecture distribution, but then we did the proper sizing, and we recommended to increase the landscape size to accommodate the requirement and increase in the user base. And then contents, basically, because it's a bank, it's a financial institution, they were very particular about the throughput, the performance. So they wanted to do first set of mock runs before deciding on the actual size of the migration that they would be deciding on the projects in terms of number of projects, in terms of number of projects, objects that they will be putting in the package. And then test to validate the application before releasing it. Again, they spent the enormous amount of time in testing and validation. This is where we are trying to put together some new solution to help customer like this one to provide the mechanism to do the validation automatically. So you don't have to spend time manually to validate the reports. We are working on to provide you some solution to provide automated way to perform the validation, and then finally, promoting applications for production and release them. Follow a proper promotion management strategy, because versioning is important. Because it's a bank, because they have to produce a lot of compliance auditing requirements, meet auditing requirements, they wanted to maintain this versioning carefully. Lessons learned, the one thing that I've noticed, the team that when I went there for the first time, is the skills issue. A lot of those BI team, they were very competent, very good, but they were so much on the early release, and I had to talk to them about the importance of upskilling them, getting trained about on the latest release, and understanding new capabilities, new innovations in the latest release. Of course, we talked about the planning and proper sizing. So these are some of the lessons learned, for you to consider when you perform your migration. And finally, we are actively working on one of my focus areas for 2014 is to produce a lot of knowledge management materials. And we have a microsite, we call it as a BI success website. We are trying to bring this site, which is called SAP BusinessObjects BI.com, as the single most central place for you to, plan and read everything A to Z about your upgrade, product roadmap, changes in the product and things like that. And also we have, innovation value calculator. If you are planning to upgrade, if you are wondering like, what do I get? What is the value that I get? Go ahead and run this upgrade value calculator. You get a very good information. And then of course, if you are on 3.1 or 2, it's these two articles are worth reading. The calculation engine change and and then the feature version metrics by release, you would see a side-by-side comparison of various releases R2, 3.1, and 4.1, and you will know what is that you are missing being in 3.1 versus coming to 4.1. So some of the useful information out there. And then to summarize, before we go to the questions, to summarize, don't miss the opportunity. Now is the moment for you to come to the latest release, and with the considerable amount of time and investment money, you'll be on the best of the best platform release, which is 4.1. So make sure you understand the changing nature of how business is done today and the latest innovations that is coming from SAP. And then next important thing to mention is do a proper assessment. Try to engage SAP Consulting, try to have experts, SMEs, to help you to do the proper assessment and then have a proper plan. As I told you in the example, I was talking about a customer spending about 6 months in planning. That did not go waste. That helped a lot to become successful in the migration. So proper planning is very important. I call it as beware of the technical considerations. Try to understand the product changes. Try to understand the changing landscape and changing, the architecture components. Try to understand, the challenges before you plan your migration. And then common challenges, I try to document most of them. When you go through this document, you will know the common challenges that you typically get into, and then try to see how other customers have done it. There are thousands of customers on the latest release to date, and they are successful because they follow the process. They follow the best practices. They followed our recommendations and guidelines. So try to learn, try to review how other customers have done it, and you will get a lot of good information among the sources that I mentioned about to plan and to execute your migration effectively. Again, I'm sorry about the audio, but that brings us to the end of the webinar. Adrian, we have about 10 minutes. We can go to the questions if you have any.
Yes, there's a number of questions which, first of all, thank you for the presentation, Satish, and there's a number of questions which have been answered mainly by the likes of Tracy. So one that just arrived from Jagadish, how did you arrive at ROI of 10 times? No, may have been pertaining to one of your slides. Are you able to see the questions in the chat?
So Adrian, you're saying the previous questions are all answered? Do they have to go through?
I think mostly they are answered.
Okay. Okay. So, okay.
There were a number of questions on support for Microsoft Analysis Services, Hyperion, S-based, but I think they've been generally answered. And if there are, and generally, if there are questions which are not answered, we will respond to them directly, either to the submitter or via the URL which I posted before for the webinar series, and I'll post it again in a moment.
Yeah, since we have a few minutes, probably I'll take the first one. How did you arrive at ROE of $10 against $1? That's based on the third-party research results done by Nucleus and Forrester. I have that mentioned in the presentation. When you get the copy of the presentation, you will know the source of that report, and that is not from us, but from a third-party research company. And then next one is the security applied automatically after upgrade, or do we have to do anything after upgrade to maintain security? Usually, I don't see the name, but when you upgrade the security will get migrated. But the usual recommendation is after upgrade, you do go verify and make sure the definitions are there. If there are missing things, you might have seen the warnings in the UMT tool when you actually migrate it. Then you go try to fix those the definitions that is missing during the migration. Again, most things will get applied, but if you do see anything missing, you will see the reasons why they are missing, and you just have to go and redefine that. Could you please elaborate on offerings for automated validation? So Jagdish, we are working on a tool. The first version of the tool will be on web intelligence. When you migrate, let's say, for example, from 3.1 to 4.1, after upgrading to 4.1, you can run this tool to validate the reports, all the web intelligence reports between 3.1 and 4.1 to find out the differences, if at all, if any, for example, after upgrade. One good example is we changed the calculation engine in web intelligence between 3.1 and 4.1, and some of our customers faced significant challenge in overcoming that challenge, right? So the purpose of this tool is to give you a report, to produce a report, to give you an idea on what are the changes happened during the migration and what you can do to fix those changes if there are any, right? So that you don't have to spend weeks and months to manually validate and try to verify report by report, right? Right now, the tool is about to be released to internal, and if you are interested in the tool, you can let me know, and I will share with you information on how you can get that tool. Okay. And another thing is, right now we have to go through consulting to get the tool, but I can provide you the contacts and how you can access the tool through how and all that. And then, okay, the next one, reservation, Tammy. Thanks, Tammy. Tammy has already replied. John is asking, is Audit TV Universe provided and officially supported in 4.1? If not, it is planned for later. John, very good question. Right now there is no, but we do have samples in. I did mention about that in the microsite. Let me bring that out. If you go to this BI success website, you will see information about the sample, the objects that you get from SAP. Again, they are not part of the product right now, but to answer the second part of your question, that is definitely is there in our future roadmap. Right now, we've started our official discussion on the next release. We haven't decided what that release is going to be called, but we have already started the discussion to plan for our next release, and this audit, providing auditing capability, John, is definitely part of that list. That much I can tell you. Again, I'm not sure how much is going to be there realistically, because all these requirements will be evaluated, and then the list of new features for the next release will be finalized. But I can tell you that's one of the high priority items that we have in the list. Okay. And okay, please provide the tool. I don't know, that 5514391478, I don't have your name, but I'm going to share with you my contact details. You can see my email ID, and you can email me, and I will provide you more details about the tool. As well as to you, Jagdish, you can contact me offline, and I will provide you how to get access to that tool. Okay. Okay. Will there be a .NET SD clear IDT? Will it just be Java? Okay, very good one. Chris, there are already plans to support that. There is a debate going on right now. Part of the team on the semantic layer, product development team, they are not in favor of .NET because they think that option compared to Java versus .NET is very low. But there is other part in the development team, engineering side, support of the .NET SDK. But soon they will make official stand whether or not we are going to support .NET SDK for semantic layer. Chris, please stay tuned. Either you can get back to me after a month or so, or you can follow it in the community through the blogs or through this community, and we will be able to tell you what's our decision around the .NET SDK for semantic layer. Okay. Then can we get copy of this presentation? Of course, Adrian will take care of that. Will the new audit update come with sample Ruby documents? Jai, we don't know at this point. I'm sure what you have in mind is compared to 3.1 where we provided sample crystal reports. Similar to that, I believe you're asking whether we will provide any sample Ruby reports. That's too much to talk about at this stage, but we are still planning, and we will make it official once we have the decision on how we are going to support the audit capabilities to customers like you. Okay, and then okay, voice is about clear. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I have some issues, no problem. Next time when I talk to you guys, I'm sure I'll be better. Okay, one last one. I know we're top of the hour, but we have upgraded 4.0 to 4.1 small reports originally. Data services is still 4.0. And I know we can go to 4.2. Question: do we need new transports for connected ECB BW system? Susan, the question is a bit vague. If you can email me with your questions, and I promise I will get back to you with more details about the improvements and how the future roadmap looks like around the providing the connectivity to the backend, including BW and ECC. Okay. At the end of that, I will hand it over back to you. Thanks, everyone. And the remaining questions, we will take a note of these questions, and we will make sure we address those questions properly.
Yes,
okay.
Thanks again, Satish, and thank you everyone for participating. I posted the webinar series page at in the chat window, and you can get information about the series in general, but also recordings of this webinar and other webinars and the slides at that page. Please also post any general questions and comments to that page, and we will address them. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone again, and thank you, Satish, especially. And this concludes this webinar, this meeting. So we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Details will be shown at the webinar series page, and we look forward to that and your company again. Thanks, everyone.